And joining us now, Georgetown Law School professor of constitutional law and global health policy and author of Policing the Womb, Invisible Women, and the Criminalization of Motherhood, Michele Goodwin. Michele, it's really good to have you. Talk to me about this Louisiana State House bill. They've already banned abortions in that state. What does it do to reclassify these two drugs?
Well, it's dangerous because what it presumes is that the only use for this drug is to terminate a pregnancy, not to manage a miscarriage, not to aid in labor and delivery, which these drugs are used for, and there are medical uses even beyond this. In fact, these drugs originally were not related to reproductive health care, but other medical conditions, which is why people would possess and use these drugs. Conflating these drugs now with heroin and other categories of drugs, which most people associate with criminal behavior, whether or not there should be, is truly a bridge too far. It's a bridge that would not have been thought of 5 years ago, but here we are in the post-Dobbs landscape.
Presumably, if a doctor needed these medications to assist in labor and delivery or to assist in another medical procedure, they'd still be able to get them. How does this make it harder?
Well, what makes this harder and something to pay close attention to is a way of trying to go around these drugs being placed in the mail. Your point is well taken, one, with regard to doctors being able to have access. But of course, in order to be able to have access, it's a matter of these drugs coming into your state. It's a matter of who is actually shipping these drugs into your state. And even if doctors have access to this, what we've already seen in states of Texas, in Louisiana, is that doctors feel under threat by these laws because these laws are also attached to criminal and civil punishments of doctors who may be presumed to violate states' laws when they are trying to help patients who need to manage a miscarriage or who need to manage labor and delivery. We have individuals who are enacting these laws who have no medical background and who really don't care about the suffering of patients. We've already seen that, and we've talked about that on your show.
Yeah. Let me play a little bit of Donald Trump talking about contraceptives, which is another thing that people are worried the Supreme Court or states might try to restrict. Let's listen.
Do you support any restrictions on a person's right to contraception?
Well, we're looking at that, and I'm going to have a policy on that very shortly. And I think it's something that you'll find interesting. And it's another issue that's very interesting. But you will find it, I think, very smart. I think it's a smart decision.
That suggests that you may want to support some restrictions, like the morning after pill or something.
We are also, things really do have a lot to do with the states. And some states are going to have different policies than others. But I'm coming out within a week or so with a very comprehensive policy, which I'll get to you immediately.
It's one of his standard nonsensical answers that doesn't seem to have anything behind it because he wasn't prepared for the question. Maybe he hasn't thought of it. That being said, here's what he responded with in a Truth Social post. I've never and never will advocate imposing restrictions on birth control or other contraceptives. This is a Democrat fabricated lie, misinformation, disinformation, because they have nothing else to run on except failure, poverty, and death. I don't support a ban on birth control, and neither will the Republican Party. Oftentimes when Donald Trump doesn't have a fully thought out answer or policy to give an interview, it doesn't mean his team doesn't have one. It doesn't mean the people surrounding him don't have plans to effectuate their goals, and their goals might deviate from whatever the former president might have in his head at the moment. What does this concern you,
right,
his response to this?
Well, to put the prior points that we were talking about, and this is that the state of Louisiana, it's a great example where they've called for the death penalty, some lawmakers there, of women who have abortions, doctors who perform abortions. And when we think about what the risks have been associated with the former president, it's the courts. It's the judges who are on the local and state courts, the state Supreme Courts that have been appointed. Now, granted, that didn't come through him, but that's party action. How can we be as robustly anti-reproductive health rights and justice as possible? So there's only the need to dog whistle, and the work is already being done. And, and when you think about it, part of the campaign that Donald Trump had leading up to 2016 was that he was going to punish women women who wanted to have abortions. He rolled that back, but that's exactly what we see taking shape today. And we see it taking shape in the very legislation that's now been put forth in Louisiana. And we'll see the same with contraception.
Michelle Goodwin, thank you very much. Appreciate it.